present and future friends. I was going to make this video my February wrap-up, but I've decided that I'm just gonna pick the biggest gem from February and do a separate review of that later. And I'm just gonna start off things on this channel with my March to be read. So, I have been trying to buy less books. I know, it's sacrilege, but that also means I've been utilizing my local library like a fiend, like a goddamn fiend. Yeah. So, I have a big ass pile of library books that I have not touched since checking them out. I'm really bad about checking books out from the library and then accumulating butt tons of late fees and basically paying to not read books. And like, can you imagine anything worse? So I decided that March is going to be basically a catch-up month for me. I'm going to plow through the stack of books that I have from my local library that have yet to be read. Before moving on to anything else. I'm also going to do my first ever readathon this month, which I'm really excited for. It's going to be buzzwordathon. This was suggested to me again by my friend Kylie. So I can't remember who started it, but I will look it up after recording this and link it in the description. So you can go check out their video on it, and if you want to do it too, you can join me. What the hell am I reading this month, eh? I noticed as I was going through the stack that there was a lot of nonfiction. I wasn't trying to go through a theme that way, but it's kind of becoming March's theme. The Buzzwordathon's theme is books that have who, what, where, when, why, and how in their title. And if you read a lot of nonfiction, you know that pretty much any nonfiction book has one of those words in the title or the subtitle. So that's where I'm at right now. Okay, so this first one has been on my list for a long time, actually. You can see the shine from my ghetto lamp. It is called Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. Title is pretty self-explanatory. I've been wanting to read it because, first of all, based on the title, I'm wondering if they have a fundamental misunderstanding of what introverts are. We're not just people that are super quiet. It's just based on how you gain your energy. I would consider myself an introvert, but a lot of people that know me in real life probably would not guess that. But yeah, so I thought, since I'm an introvert and... is there anything better than that sound? I love it. Okay. Anyway, since I consider myself an introvert, I really wanted to read this book and feel special, feel like a special little snowflake. Yeah, the text is really small, I'm seeing now that I'm opening it. So that makes me a little nervous, but I'm sure it's going to be great. Next title on my list right now is Start Where You Are, A Guide to Compassionate Living by... oh man, the umlauts always throw me off. Pema Chodron? Anyway, if you have ever read any Buddhist books, you probably have read something by her or had something recommended to you by her. She's the one that wrote When Things Fall Apart, I believe, as well as is it called The Beauty of No Escape? Anyway, I also read a book by her earlier this month called Finding Peace in Times of War, which was really beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one, mainly because I've been studying Buddhism for a bit, and it just, I don't know, it really struck a chord with me. It's helped me a lot with I'm trying to retrain myself cognitively because I can't afford to go to a therapy session every week. So I'm doing what I can from home, and a big part of that has been being compassionate with myself, being compassionate with others, and being super mindful, which basically is just recognizing when I'm having toxic thoughts. I'm hoping this book will continue to help with that. Next book kind of follows in the same vein. It's called What Makes You Not a Buddhist. I guess the reason I picked it up is because I've been considering calling myself a Buddhist, just because it really does resonate with me that much. It's not just a mental training thing for me, but spiritually it really resonates with me. So yeah, I wanted to look into it and see if it could offer any insight on why I might not want to call myself a Buddhist or officially make the conversion. I know you don't, I'm pretty sure you don't formally have to convert to Buddhism like you would with like Catholicism. But yeah, I guess I wanted some perspective there. The next book is also one that's been on my to be read for a long time. I went to the library to pick up some books to read for Black History Month, and this was right next to something I picked up in the sociology section. So this is called The Better Angels of Our Nature, Why Violence Has Declined. I was thinking about doing this for the buzzwordathon, but as you can see, it's quite thick, and I don't think I'm going to be able to fit that and other things into 1 week. This book will probably, well, yeah, the notes don't start till page like 700, so this is going to take me minimum a week. Basically, it's like a study, I guess, of why violence has declined. I know it's also supposed to be about compassion and basically like the altruistic impulse in humans. So a lot of people argue that humans are inherently violent, animalistic creatures. This is kind of making an argument for the other side of the coin, kind of explaining, you know, why someone would help someone with no advantage to themselves. And that's a topic I've honestly been obsessed with for a lot of my life, so I am really excited to read this one, even though I am intimidated because it's been a long time since I read a book this dense. Only 2 more in my library stack, and these 2 are fiction, so they're both, I think, pretty popular books. I mean, I know for a fact this one is. It's Six of Crows. I have not read Six of Crows. Everyone tells me that it's amazing. How could you not have read it? Booktubers talk about it everywhere, and I haven't gotten around to it. That being said, I know nothing about this book except that it's fantasy, so I'm pretty excited. It's been a while since I've gone to a book completely blind, so this will be pretty cool. And the last book from my library stack is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. It's pretty. And that is also all I know about this book. Both fiction books I grabbed this time around, I knew nothing about pretty much. All I know is I've seen this book on some lists of books recommended for some kind of people that I must be, or else I wouldn't have been looking at the list. That's really all I can say about it. I walked into the library, and this was just laying out unshelved. And I was like, I like the look of that cover. It's very visually appealing. I think I'll take it. And it looks like what? It's like some apocalypse nonsense, right? Which, like, I'm all about. So, actually pretty stoked for this one, despite knowing very, very, very little about it. I guess that just leaves what I'm going to read for Buzzwordathon. I made a list today of books that I was going to put on hold at the library that fit the theme, because that just makes life easier for me while I'm kind of downsizing my book collection because I would like to move into a tiny house someday. I made a list of 6 books I would like to read during the Buzzwordathon, which I believe runs from the 18th until the 25th. So, good week, right? I highly doubt I'm going to read a book a day, but some of these are YA or especially short, so anything's possible, I guess. The first one is called Undocumented. How, because, you know, who, what, where, when, why, how immigration became illegal. Again, gotta love nonfiction books and their self-explanatory titles. A book kind of looking at the history of immigration in America and what went terribly, terribly wrong. Dog whistle politics, how coded racial appeals have reinvented racism and wrecked the middle class. This is by Ian F. Haney Lopez. This is a book I added to my to-be-read list recently. Again, owing to Black History Month, I was looking to see what kind of nonfiction books I could add to my to be read for this past month. And that one really struck me as interesting because we talk about institutional racism a lot, but again, I think it's something that I have very wide gaps in my knowledge. So I figured, again, what a perfect chance to educate myself. Wow! Look at how that works. Next book, The 7 Sins of Memory, How the Mind Forgets and Remembers. This is by Daniel L. Schachter. If I remember right, I added this. My mom got me a set of the DK The books, like the big books or something. I can't remember what they're called. They're those really pretty, like, neon ones that are, like, square, and there's, like, the philosophy book and whatnot. While I was going through them, if it mentioned other books that I thought sounded interesting, like I was interested in the work that was mentioned by that person, I would look up some of their books and add it to my list. So if I remember right, this book is actually one that tells you why eyewitness testimony is kind of bullshit, which is super interesting to me. I was very into psychology in high school. Didn't pursue it in college, which kind of bums me out now, but yeah, I thought that would be a really cool read, and I'm really interested to see what it says. So next is When the Moon Was Ours, by Anna Marie McLemore. This is not a book I know a lot about. Oftentimes when I decide to read fiction books, it's just someone was like, it's this genre and I liked it a lot, and I'm like, good enough for me. All I really know about it is that it is magical realism. That's my understanding of it. That's the long and short of my knowledge on this book. Next book on my list is What If It's Us? I don't even know how this got on my to be read list on Goodreads, but when I looked up the word what, there it was. So then the last one is The Man Who Was Thursday. Pretty old book. It's by G.K. Chesterton. And I also don't remember much about why I added this book. Again, it's always the fiction ones that I know nothing about. But I know it's supposed to be, like, again, kind of in that surrealist vein, and it's a psychological thriller of sorts, which I'm into. I'm all about that. So I have been meaning to get around to it for a while. This is actually probably one of the books that's been on my to be read list the longest of everything I've mentioned in this video. So that's probably part of why I've completely forgotten the specifics of what made me want to read it in the first place. But hopefully I'll finally get around to it for this readathon, and I'll be able to tell you guys so much more about it. That brings me to a total of 12 books to read in March. On the whole, super doable. Some of them are really short. There's probably 1 or 2 of them that I could knock out in a day or 2. So I don't think I'll have any trouble reading everything I mentioned in this video. Anyway, so I would love to hear what you're going to be reading this month. And if you're planning on doing the buzzwordathon, again, I'll link that below. Let me know. I would love to hear about your reading goals for the month. Are we reading any of the same books? And if we're not, maybe we could, if that's something that you think would be fun to do. So yeah, I guess that I will be seeing you beautiful people next time. Goodbye.